In this video, we are going to look at the situation where we have competing energies in the mids in the form of clashing vocals and guitars. So listen to the vocals and the guitars, and especially in the chorus.
My own worst enemy, I'm killing myself softly with solitude, stuck on the shelf, yearning for something, but I'm turning to nothing now, dreaming of loving, desperately longing, and all I need is you. Save me from myself.
Maybe we could make the vocals more clear here in the chorus. And then I have prepared some filters. So we go to filter B, which is just adding mids. And we're going to listen loudness match to before and after this change. And we can see if we can identify the problem. We're just like basically taking it up with a static EQ.
My own worst enemy, I'm killing myself softly with solitude, stuck on the shelf, yearning for something, but I'm turning to nothing now, dreaming of loving, desperately longing, and all I need is you. Save me from myself. Save you.
I think now that even though we intended to make it more clear, it sounds harsh. And so the tonal balance of this track is good. And now when we have more mids, we actually kind of wreck the tonal balance a little bit and becomes harsh. The reason why this didn't work so well is because we haven't addressed the symptom, which was unclear vocals. And we really need to address the root cause of the unclear vocals, which is actually a build-up and resonance that comes from the guitars. And if the vocals are a bit muddy or unclear like they are here, and there is also a lot of energy in the guitars, so overall the tonal balance is bright enough, then it's really good to investigate for resonances or build-up somewhere in the vocal area. Especially if you compare the verse to the chorus, I think it becomes more of a problem in the chorus. And then if you don't hear the resonance directly, you recognize the situation maybe at least. So I will now show you where there is a lot of energy here that we can take down a bit, and then we will get the next thing to solve. You can actually start with the without the EQ.
Stuck on the shelf, yearning for something, but I'm turning to nothing now, dreaming of loving, desperately longing, and all I need is you. Save me from Save me from myself.
So sometimes I think it's easier to hear it when you just switch quickly between these, but you can hear this area. Like if you solo these frequencies like this, everything will sound like a resonance. So it takes some time to recognize what is actually a problem or a problem area. Like these resonances, they sound build-ups, they usually sound quite like a whistle. And when you start hearing them, they kind of stand out in that way. So there's like a, for me at least, it sounds like a little whistle that's on top of the mix or the master. I use the words resonance and build-up quite interchangeably. It is probably a resonance, but it sounds a little bit like a build-up. I would define a build-up as a bit broader and a lot of competing energies in the same area, but it's just not one note. And for resonances, it's more like ringing of one note that kind of goes off. But in this case, it sounds like a resonance, I think. But it's also quite broad spectrum. It's like a little bit noisy. So that's why I use them interchangeably. Right or wrong, that's why. So it sounds like that. And as we talked about, there's some big side effect with doing this, because what happens? I think that we have now destroyed the tonal balance in yet another way, so now it sounds dull. If my EQ would look like this, I would really check what I was doing. 4 minus 4 dBs, yeah. Well, we're just making an example here. When you use these narrow filters in the upper mids, I also want to say that I would use a linear phase filter for a clear sound, if you have that option. If you're working on frequencies lower than this, then you need to be more on the watch for artifacts. But in this area, here in the upper mids, that's usually not a problem. So I would use the linear phase filter if you can. So anyway, so did you hear the drop in energy when we reduce the resonance? So it's not good to have it harsh, it's not good to have unclear vocals, it's not good to have it dull, it's not good if we leave it like that, but it's quite good for our overall objective, because now we have kind of calmed down the harsh area, and we have actually in the process freed up some space to increase the area below that we wanted to in the beginning. So let's do that. So we're kind of adding back energy. And as I said, this is an exaggerated example. So if you think this is not tasteful, or I'm just trying to show you a technique here. Maybe if there are resonances, we can't just take this up. And we can also just not only take the harsh area down, but we have to like take it down and then kind of restore the tonal balance. So that's the overall sentiment here. So do you think that we have achieved our goal of clearer vocals here? I think it feels like that resonant area has calmed down, and I do think that the vocals are more clear. So overall, it's a good change, but I also hear that the perspective kind of changes as well. So I just want to acknowledge that, and that's a side effect of doing this specific thing on this specific track, depending on where things are panned and things like that, and what frequency area we're working on. We have to also take that into account. Do we need to restore the perspective as well? Is it okay that it changes, basically? That's what I wanted to show you. So when you reduce resonances in the upper mids, watch out for also what happens in the area above the resonance. So just as this resonance is masking the area below, it's also masking the area above as well. So when you take it away, these two areas kind of pop out a little bit. So what I notice is that you can create a new problem. in the area above. So sometimes you have to do something there, or you can't take the resonance down as much because that problem pops up, or you need to do something there. So keep an ear on that area. That's my number one tip, I think. Also, if you use a dynamic EQ instead, because sometimes it feels like when you do this in the static EQ, it becomes too much. And you do it in dynamic EQ because you feel like you want to just go in when the buildup is actually stronger. But I want to say, caution a little bit about that, because these dynamic EQs can make the vocal sound unnatural, because they kind of work against the natural dynamics of the singer. And if you use a static EQ, then at least the performance is kind of intact. But when you use dynamic EQ and it changes the output of the singer, it changes their performance, if that makes sense. So be a little bit careful with the dynamic EQ, I would say. A positive side effect of taking down this resonance, or any resonance, is that we usually get the master to measure a bit quieter. And so why is that good? Well, it's a good thing in the loudness normalized world, because on the streaming platforms, if you want it to stand out, it's really good that it measures quieter while sounding about the same loudness as before, because then it will not be taken down as much in the loudness normalization. So usually you will get a boost because it sounds clearer, and also a boost because it's not taken down as much in the loudness normalization. So it stands out better in the playlist as well. So that's just a little extra benefit from taking these down. I think in the mids, it is a tricky area overall to work with, because we're so sensitive overall, and so just tread carefully. But we're trying to give you some different techniques to get more mids. So like adding some compressed mids could be one way you can do it, or you can do, maybe there's like the situation with competing instruments in the same area. And also when you mix, you can also think, we've talked about this before, you can think about what is the main instrument or the lead instruments. And here the vocals are more important than the guitar, so that you keep that in mind when you're mixing. In this case, this is already a release track. I got it from the music service that we use. So this is already as it should be. Nobody has asked anyone to change this track. So we're just using this today to investigate. But as I said, I think this track sounded quite good from the beginning. I really like the tone of the vocals.
Desert of feelings, comfortably cold. Don't see a meaning, futures alone. My own worst enemy, I'm killing myself.
Since this is not a huge problem here in the verse, so you could also just do this on the chorus if you're being thorough. But if we do this processing only in the chorus, we are also mindful of how it sounds together with the verse, so that the overall sound does not sound disjointed. If you do this only in the chorus, then you have to be mindful of this perspective change, so that you know where you make the change, so to speak. So if everything changes like perspective-wise, and you can't counter it in any way, you have to put that change where it's not noticeable. Obviously, you can't just do this on half the chorus, so it's going to be harsh and unclear, and then suddenly the resonance, it goes from shh to nothing, and the perspective changes. So that would be an extreme case. Why would we do that? There's no reason. But sometimes if you process the verse and the chorus differently, you can make it sound less as a whole, or you make it sound disjointed. So that's also good to note here. So that's it for this video. Good luck with your current projects, and thank you for watching.